we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is January 20th, 2021. And we will begin with our public statement. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC. I will note for the record that I'm joined today by Commissioner Githens, and Commissioner Jones is joining via audio only due to the constraints of where she is located right now. Happy Inauguration Day, and Commissioner Githens, if you would make the motion for the agenda item.
Yes, I move to add agenda item F, which is a contract with Capital Assets LLC and the Monroe County Board of Commissioners.
Second.
All right, great. We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on adding agenda item F?
Yes. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you, sir. All right. And with that, we will turn to our departmental updates, and we will begin with the tirelessly working and constantly working Health Department and Penny Caudill. Ms. Caudill, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again this week. Appreciate it. I'm going to start with testing. We do want to encourage people to continue to be tested for COVID-19. If you are symptomatic, certainly if you've been exposed, if you've been named as close contact, we would encourage you to be tested. And if you are just concerned that you may have been exposed, please, the testing is free. We have 2 sites in our community. The Optum site is here through January. We've not yet learned about February. But the community site on Morton Street is open. It is planned to be here through June, and we encourage people to use that site. It does have rapid testing, which means that you can get your test results in as little as 30 minutes. You do need to be symptomatic. This is for individuals who have recently become symptomatic. And the good thing about that is we can identify people. They know if they need to truly be in isolation. They can make sure that their close contacts are notified so that they can get in quarantine so that we can really reduce the spread of this infection. I did talk with the site manager this morning, and yesterday had some conversations with the state about the length of time for getting results. The site manager this morning reported that most of the results are taking 1 to 2 days. Sometimes it is taking 2 to 3 for people who may have come into that late evening clinic, just because those get sent out later and therefore it takes a little bit longer. So that has greatly improved. And we will continue to watch that and work with the state to make sure that those results are coming back in as quickly as possible. But again, if you have symptoms, you can go to that site and perhaps get a rapid test, as those are available. We do recommend that you make an appointment, register if you can ahead of time, and that way your visit is very short. But take walk-ins. So if you can't get an appointment and you can't finish your registration, I want to say thank you to all the many volunteers who have stepped up to help with our vaccination clinics. They are absolutely fabulous and just want to thank each and every one of them. And if you haven't been called yet to actually work, don't be discouraged because we're going to be at this for a long time. I do want to focus in on a few things that we have found over the past few weeks. And as you know, there's a lot of interest right now in getting vaccinated, and we're thrilled about that. But what we have found is that some people are scheduling multiple appointments in an attempt to get one quickly. And what that means is that they are filling up appointments that other people then cannot take. And currently, you cannot cancel your own appointment. Now, we expect that will change and that by the end of the week, you will be able to cancel your own appointment. However, right now, the state found when they were trying to look, they did some contacting of people to get some canceled. They found some individuals who had 4, 5, or 7 different appointments. So please don't do that. And we have had people who have made a second appointment and then called us to get that one canceled, but that does take a lot of staff time. So again, try to just make that appointment, make one, don't make multiple, so that others have an opportunity to schedule their appointment. And hopefully by the end of this week, individuals can cancel their own appointment. So that won't take staff time to do that. So we're hopeful for that. The state has mailed out postcards for those who are 70 and over. So if you're wondering about that, individuals should be getting postcards with information about vaccine availability in the next, in this week. I think that those went out on Monday or perhaps yesterday. So you should be seeing those come to you in the mail. The state health department is pushing out vaccine as fast as they can and as soon as possible, not holding doses back. So we are trying our best to get everybody vaccinated. So on that front, they do have sort of a bolus, a one-time vaccine, not enough to kind of keep it flowing to everybody, but they are going to use the mobile units that you've heard me talk about to do some mobile clinics. They will be inside, but they will take those mobile units to various counties in the state over the next 2 weekends. I anticipate that they will be here this weekend for Monroe County, but they will be releasing that information and those details to come. But we're very excited that the state is going to be able to do, I think, 10 or 12 or more sites throughout the state that will be additional vaccines in each of those communities. So we're excited and thankful for that. So expect to see more about that. But they will be available when you go to make an appointment and you click on that map and you put in your zip code. All of the available sites for you will come up, including these that they are setting up. So you don't need to wait for me to tell you. You just need to pay attention and check in on that map because, again, as appointments are canceled, those kinds of things, appointments pop up. Also, we do not schedule, and I should say the state, because they handle the scheduling with the company that does that. They do not open up appointments for vaccine that has not already been allocated. So generally speaking, appointments are only going to go out a couple of weeks. And then as more vaccine is assured that it's coming and it's been allocated for us, then more appointments will open up. The other thing that does is allow us, as people come in, to schedule their second dose appointment, get them on the books, and not have first dose appointments mean that people can't get their second dose. So we want first dose appointments, then when they come in, they get their second appointment, and then we can open up appointments around that. So we are working very hard to figure out how we can build our capacity and with that, hopefully bring more vaccine to our community. And we know that Indiana University has expressed interest. We have lots of businesses who are interested. Federally qualified health centers and some pharmacies across the state are coming on board this week as well. So I have been told that Kroger, Walmart, and Meijer pharmacies will begin in the next week or two to have appointments, again, following the state's criteria for eligibility, but those will be other options as well. We do remain in orange this week. I have seen some improvement in our numbers, but I will say that it is too soon to say that that's a trend and we're trending down, but it is a hopeful sign. So again, I want to remind people, orange doesn't mean we're doing well. It just means we're doing better than some other places. So hopefully we will start seeing numbers trending down. We've seen fewer positives on given days. So hopefully that will continue, and it will continue more if, there goes those lights again, if people will continue to wear their masks, physically distance, wash their hands, all of the things that we talked about. Be patient, but get that vaccine when you are eligible and can do so.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Cottle, for all that great information. A great reminder to everyone, make only one first appointment. Let's see if there are comments or questions. Commissioner Jones?
No, not really. Just that we so much appreciate all of this work.
Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, I was amazed that you personally, Ms. Cottle, were out administering vaccine on Saturday. Yeah, you never do stop.
It was a joy. It was a joy.
Yeah, very rewarding, and it's great to have you out there, and the staff is just doing amazing work.
Yes.
And the volunteers, and thanks to everyone for keeping us going. And we appreciate all of the great information, and especially with the new information about additional places where the vaccine could happen, but those will populate into that website. So it doesn't mean you should go on and make another appointment.
Right. And yes, and please do not just show up at vaccine sites because that only complicates things. We can't just take walk-ins. You need that appointment. Again, the best way to get it is 211. And we know that, and the state is aware that there were some issues where people ended up getting testing appointments instead of vaccine appointments. They went to the test site. We think that has been resolved, but there could be a lingering somebody there. Make sure that your appointment is for vaccination or for testing, whichever it is that you need. They are in different locations, and you need to go to the correct location for your appointment.
Right. Excellent advice. Thank you so much, Ms. Cottle. We appreciate you. Please send along our thanks to everyone who's doing all the hard work every day. And now we will turn to Allison Moore, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, commissioners. I want to start with letting you guys, as well as the public, know that there is a gas leak on IU campus. It is at Jordan and 7th. And so we have been communicating with emergency management through IU, but we are asking everyone to avoid that area. It is kind of a pass-through road right there. So even people in the county might have a route that way early this morning, and we would like for you to avoid that area if possible. The gas company is on site, and hopefully it will be fixed very soon. As I've mentioned, every week we have those blood drives scheduled for January, and I'd like to announce that both of our January sites are full. I've gotten several questions this week that people could not figure out how to make an appointment for those 2 dates, and that reason is because it's full. So I'm going to go ahead and just announce those February dates. And I know that's a little early, but people are very eager to get those appointments made. And so we've been gearing them towards February, and February could potentially get full very quick because of that. So the dates for February are the 16th and the 17th. They're both at the Monroe County Convention Center. You register at redcross.org. Because they're a little bit farther out, you more than likely will not see them on the list if you just search the zip code. So there's a calendar, and you'll have to actually click on either one of those dates, the 16th or the 17th, and then those available appointments will in fact pop up. And I am excited that January is full. It's a good problem to have. And so we do kindly and greatly appreciate all of those individuals that have made those appointments and have helped make our blood drives be such a success. I also got asked this week when people were quite frustrated that they were full, can't you just open more? Can you open more sites? Can you extend the hours? Those are wonderful questions. And we, of course, have been having a lot of that collaboration with Red Cross to see if, we started out with one blood drive during the day. We picked up the evening. They are at this point pretty smooth and an easy thing that we have set up, but they also only have so many volunteers, and they do have clinics in other places throughout our county for people that can't get downtown to make those blood donations. So though that's on their radar, and they know that we would be willing to host additional ones, that may not be something that they can actually have set up at this time, but it is being discussed, and we do appreciate all that feedback and the willingness for the community to step up and help in that area. As I have mentioned the last couple of weeks, January for us is heat or heater safety. And each week I'm mentioning 3 things. It'll be exciting come that first week in February when I switch it up and we talk about something different. But the 3 tips that I have for this week are to make sure that if you have a cord that's a space heater that has some type of break in it or a nick in it, that you do not use that heater. If you're going to be leaving the room that the space heater's in for a long period of time, or you're leaving your home, that you unplug and turn off that space heater. And then lastly, that you have carbon monoxide monitors in your home, and that you check them and maintain them annually if you're going to be using space heaters and chimneys and such. So 3 little helpful hints. We have additional hints on our website, and we're putting those up on our social media as well. But if you're looking for the main list, you can go to co.monroe.in.us and get those, the whole entire list of different heat safety. Also on that website that I just mentioned, co.monroe.in.us, there's a megaphone on that homepage. And I know that we announce this every week, but we send so much information out currently, more than we ever have this year, more than we ever have since we've had this free service. With different health ordinances, we're sending vaccine information as the next groups that the state has released to receive that vaccine, and how to go and make those appointments, and of course, weather-related events. It's a free service, and we encourage you to get signed up on that system. And if you have any questions about that, our contact information is also on that website, and we are more than happy to help and assist. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moore. We appreciate you. And let's see if there are comments or questions. Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Githens?
No, but thanks, Ms. Moore. We know you're staying very, very busy as well.
Yes. No rest for the weary. Thank you, Ms. Moore. We appreciate you. And I know you just recently got some more PPE for the community, for the schools, and you're just always trying to make sure that we have a great supply locally, and that kind of work goes unnoticed, but it's vital. So thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Now we will turn to Lisa Ridge with a road and traffic update.
Good morning. I really don't have a lot to report. We had a little bit of weather over the weekend. I think the guys did a great job pre-treating, staying on top of it. And luckily the winter weather advisory didn't pan out to be too much. So really we're pothole patching, it's sunny. So yeah, if you have any questions, but other than that, just routine maintenance.
All right, comments, questions, Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Githens?
No, thank you.
And I will just remind folks that if they are traveling outside of Monroe County, to make sure to check out the INDOT website for closures and things like that, because we know, for example, I-69 is or 37 is entirely closed in Martinsville. And so it's always good to plan out an alternate route before you leave the county, and that's a great resource.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And they also, I know you can, as Allison stated, you can sign up for the county alerts, but NDOT also, if you go to their website, you can sign up to receive notifications from them also for weather related and how the roads are. And you can actually go on there and it'll tell you exactly how many trucks they have out on the road, where they're dropping maybe brine at. So yeah, I'd encourage anybody, especially when they travel, to sign up for that weather notification, and it also has road closings.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here this morning and every week. And I know that you're going to have more to report in the coming months. This is a bit of a lull.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I don't have anything on the agenda today. So you guys,
Yay. Have
yeah,
a great rest of the day.
you guys too.
Thank you. All right. And with that, we will move on to item 4, which is for public comment for items not on our agenda. I will note for folks who are in the attendee list that we do have agenda items related to the crisis of those without housing in our community. So please don't use this time to talk about that. We will have an opportunity to hear from you when it's more appropriate. But let's see if we have any public comment for items not on our agenda. You will have a total of 3 minutes at 2 minutes and 30. So when you have 30 seconds left, you will hear a tone.
One moment.
Thank you, Ms. Dayton. So when you hear that tone, you have 30 seconds left. And again, we do have agenda items related to the crisis in our community relating to homelessness. So please save your comments on that for that agenda item, which is item E and also item D. Let's see if we have anyone who wishes to make public comment.
We have one. We have Alex here.
Okay. Please give us your name. Good morning.
Hi. So just to be clear, what I have to talk about is about this, but it's not directly related to any of the items on the agenda. Do you want me to go to the next item on the agenda, or whatever item on the agenda anyway, and talk about that? Or
if it's related to the homeless crisis, it'd be better to deal with it then, if that's okay with you.
I mean, it's fine with me. I think I should be able to get everything I want, within both periods in 3 minutes, but I don't know. I find the process a bit weird, but it's fine. If that's what you want us to do, then we'll do it. Thanks.
Okay.
I yield.
Well, the reason we do it that way is so that we are focused on a topic at a time, and that we hear from the whole community on that topic at one time instead of spreading it out over the meeting. So we appreciate you. Please hang in there. We've got a few agenda items before, and we look forward to hearing from you again. Are there any other members of the public who wish to offer comment?
There are no other hands raised.
Great, thank you, Ms. Dayton. And with that, we will move on to the next agenda item. Commissioner Githens.
Move approval of the minutes from January 13th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, edits, corrections?
I didn't see any.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the approval of the minutes for January 13th, 2021?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Githens,
Yes,
Commissioner Jones, motion is approved 2-0.
Right. Thank you so much. Our next agenda item, please.
move approval of the claims docket accounts payable January 20th, 2021.
I will second that. We have Mr. Miller here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. The total for AP claims was $2,836,614.75. $1,262,730 was for quarterly full-time self-insurance. $1,034,662.10 was for Kreider and Kreider for construction payment application number 4 for the Profile Parkway extension. And finally, $131,009.30 was for Ixoy Trail and Greenways engine to design the right-of-way appraisals and management, as well as for December 2020 permit applications.
Great, thank you so much. Let's see if there are comments or questions. Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Githens?
I'm impressed that you could say Ixoid, so.
I did a little homework.
Obviously.
Falls right off. All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item.
There are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dayton. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the approval of the claims docket accounts payable January 20th, 2021?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Githens.
Yes,
Motion is approved 2-0.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Miller. I will note for the record that we have received a report from the treasurer for December of 2020. And now we will move on to new business, and I will ask, as Commissioner Githens is going to make the motion, I would ask if Ms. Dayton, while we're getting our presentation, if you could check in somehow with Commissioner Jones and make sure that she's not muted. Somehow I think we've been missing her in some of our votes. So if you could check in with her somehow, I don't know how, that would be dandy. But go ahead, Commissioner Githens. Thank you.
yes. Move to approve ordinance 2021-01 Westgate on 3rd planned unit outline.
I will second that. Ms. Crecelius, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Great. Please tell us all about this.
Okay. So the petition site is 37.99 acres. It's a property located in Section 2 of Van Buren Township at 4755 West State Road 48. It is currently zoned Estate Residential 1 and Estate Residential 2. So the petitioners the request is to rezone or adopt the Westgate on 3rd mixed use plan unit development outline plan. The purpose of this plan unit development outline plan is proposing a mixed use development that would include multifamily residences and commercial space. The property is currently used as a single family residence and also crops and pasturage. So the development is designed to provide additional housing options for working individuals and families per the petitioner's written statement. It would be for working individuals and families that are within the county and adjacent to all the commercial properties in this area, such as Ivy Tech Community College and other companies located in the Park 48 development. So the property is split zoned between two of the estate residential zones, 1 and 2.5. The comprehensive plan does designate this size. The Monroe County urbanizing area identifies this as mixed use and mixed residential. The comprehensive plan does support attached home types, ground floor retail, and higher density overall. This property will remain as one lot, so it will not be subdivided. So instead of lot requirements, the petitioners will be looking at proposing, they are proposing a density of units per acre. Those densities do depart from this current zoning, but it fits under the comprehensive plan. So the petitioner states that this development will be built over one phase over 18 months. Because the site isn't going to be subdivided, the management of the community will stay under single ownership. This does allow maintenance of the infrastructure to be designated to one entity. So we'll look at the site plan a little more in review, but this is just the overall to get an idea. They are proposing a private shuttle to adjacent employment areas. They will be upgrading 2 existing Bloomington transit stops in this area for current and future riders. Because it's multifamily, they've proposed substantial setbacks from property lines with landscape and tree buffers adjacent to the existing residential neighborhoods. On the right of the screen is the slope map. There is a sinkhole on the property, which is marked closest to the house on the site, around that 880 line. They are looking at multiple stormwater detention facilities, and they are looking at improving the drainage water quality, hopefully for the entire area. The Plan Commission voted positively back in December, 8-0 for a positive recommendation to you, the commissioners. They did include the condition that the plan unit development plan is reviewed again by Plan Commission with the specific intent to focus on reviewing that the sinkhole and the drainage is carefully considered. So the outline plan is broken up into kind of 3 areas, the community. Area 1 would be approximately 8 acres in size. There would be 3 separate buildings that contain, so building 2 would contain 22,000 square feet of first floor private office space. I'm sorry, the private office space would be located in buildings 1 and 3 on the first floor. Located in building 2, there is 11,000 square feet of retail business space. There will be approximately 84 rental apartments across, located on the 2nd and 3rd floors, accessed through interior hallways and elevators. The petitioners proposed a karst farm trail, fountain plaza, kind of a resting stop to the west of this petition site. Directly is the karst farm greenway. There is currently a single family home on the property. It will be maintained and preserved until it's later transitioned to a maintenance building. Area A will also include the property maintenance building. So regarding density for this area, it's going to be approximately 10.5 residential units per acre. Some of the features of the community will be a community garden, a dry wetland stormwater area, which will be near the karst. Overall, the development is proposing 60% open space. Our current ordinance requires that a planned unit development have at minimum 25%. In this area, there will be a new connection with a So the connections will be from the road on the east to that will go out to West 3rd. There will be a clubhouse, kind of a community gathering area, and a pool, in addition to like the community garden and a dog park. Area B is approximately 15 acres in size. It will have 7 separate 3-story buildings that contain approximately 126 rental apartments. They'd be accessed through interior hallways that either have access to an attached or detached garage. This area would have 8.45 units per acre. There would be a connection to the Cross Farm Trail. And this area also features multiple of the dry wetland stormwater areas. Area C, farthest to the south, is approximately 15 acres. It would have 6 separate 2-story buildings that would contain approximately 120 rental townhomes, so attached style townhomes. They would be accessed through ground level entrances. The petitioners are proposing that these garages have attached and or detached garages for parking. This area's density would be approximately 8 units per acre. This is just a view looking south at what the property currently looks like. You can see that it is surrounded by multiple residential areas and Ivy Tech to the north. This was a petitioner submitted image, which was really helpful just to visualize the many companies and employment that is surrounding the site. They have received, the petitioners received support letters from the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation, the Cook Group, Ivy Tech Community College, the Regional Opportunity Initiative, and also the current property owner, Martha Daniels. There are multiple more support letters that are included within the packet under the exhibits. So these next few slides are just going to go over the ordinance conditions that were included. So there will be site distance improvements for the intersections of Park Square Drive, which does include vegetation removal and berm removal. There will be off-site road improvements to Park Square Drive, including accommodating street approaches and driveway approaches. There was a recommendation for the construction of 2 exit lanes. So that is also included in the condition that if it's required for exit capacity at those intersections with Park Square Drive. The outline plan is the outline specific retail uses that would be permitted in Area A within Building 2. This is the full list of what they're proposing. This was something that the plan review committee, the original proposal only included rentable office space in this area, and during the plan review committee, they recommended some retail. The petitioner has adapted and included that into Area A and Building 2. It does help kind of support the comprehensive plan more, providing some retail and a little more interest to that area off of West 3rd. So again, the Plan Commission, requested that the development plan approval is reserved by the Plan Commission here with that language, specific consideration of the east roadway connection and the grading and erosion control due to that sinkhole that's located on the middle of the site. The next condition is that the east-west road condition is constructed in accordance with the Monroe County Highway Department standards, and that the development plan will be in coordinates with also the Monroe County Drainage Engineer reports. So the Plan Commission voted 8-0 to send this petition forward with a positive recommendation. Does anybody have any questions?
Let's see if we have questions or comments. If you could leave your share screen up for a minute, that would be useful because I have some comments about the map. If you can go back to the overall map of the plan while we're talking here. Comments or questions, Commissioner Jones? See if we have comments or questions from Commissioner Githens.
Yeah, I have several questions. I find the proposed rent amounts to be pretty high if it's for workforce renters. It looks like even at $875 a month, which would be what I would assume would be their studio apartments, somebody would have to be earning at least $18 an hour to be able to afford that, working 40 hours a week. So I guess I'm a little discouraged about the rental amounts that they're proposing. I want to know how soon the existing house would be converted into a maintenance building. Do you have any sense of when that might be?
So the intent of the petitioner is that, so the current property owner still lives in the home. And so she is intending to stay there essentially until she is ready to move. And at that point, then the home will be converted into a maintenance facility.
Will people, do you know whether or not people will have to pay extra for parking?
They are meeting the requirements for parking standards under the current ordinance. So they don't differ for the amount of units that the parking would be required. It's spread out, and there are multiple garages attached and detached that are included in there.
Okay, I guess I was referring to the garages, not just the kind of what I think of as street parking, but.
So it's like the townhomes, each one will have a single family residential feel. They'll have their own, walk-up entrance. That's in Area C, and they'll have their own garage. So I believe that parking is incorporated in with the apartments.
Yes, if you look on the map in the southern portion there, where the apartments are, there's those little red pieces. Those are the garages. Plus there's visitor parking. So they've kind of covered both. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were going to charge extra on top of the rent for using those. Also, the part of what they're talking about is that this should be areas where you can walk or bike to work or to different amenities. Will there be covered bicycle parking?
Those are two very good questions. Those are both ones that we did not end up discussing. I do believe the developer is on the line. With this webinar format, I can't quite tell who's attending, but I think he said he'd be here.
Let's see, who are we looking for? Let me look in that list.
It would be Mark Avis or Daniel Butler.
Mr. Butler is on, so if you could move Mr. Butler, Michelle, if you could move Mr. Butler into our panelist mode, that would be dandy. He's the one with his hand raised, so we could find him. And I think we did talk about covered bike parking. I thought that was something that we specifically did talk about. So maybe correct me if I'm thinking of a different petition, but I could have sworn we talked about it. Mr. Butler, do you want to go ahead and answer Commissioner Githen's questions?
They may need a moment after switching over to panelist.
Sure.
Well, and then I do have one more question too to add to this. How soon will they start their private shuttle? I mean, they said they expect to open in about 18 months after they break ground. So will that be something that'll be up and running very quickly for folks, or will it be sort of a year down the road? I'd like to know what those plans are too.
Okay, Mr. Butler, if you could hear us, you had some questions posed to you by Commissioner Githens. If you want to address those, and if you need her to repeat any of them, address what you got, and we'll see what happens. Looks like we're having some audio trouble. I'll click through here and see what we have. He's unmuted, but I don't know that he can speak to us right now. Okay. All right. Well, this can be the first go round, and we can put this on our agenda for next week. If you could go ahead, Ms. Crecilius, and send him those questions to be addressed next week, and that way he'll know that we have them. I do think so. She asked about Mark. Who is Mark? Mark, I don't see. Going back over here. He said to unmute Mark, but we don't have anybody named Mark on our list. Yeah. It's certainly not the end of the world, because this is such a huge project. I think it's useful for us to take some time. Now, for me, I've seen this project multiple times, and I've seen it involve. And I will just say that there are some things I really appreciate about this project. I appreciated that there was some consideration of adding some retail for walk-up foot traffic, especially for this neighborhood to be in the adjoining neighborhood. I thought that was really, really useful. I also appreciated that they included a garden, a community garden, which is a great thing for any space to include, any development to include, and a dog park. I like the incorporation of the existing trail system, and even creating that little sort of resting space is a nice idea. And I will say that initially there weren't studio apartments as part of this, but after some initial discussion with the developers, that was something that some of us thought would be really useful to include, to really have more of a price range available for renters, especially folks who are just starting out. So I appreciate that that was included. But I will say this for the community. It's sad to see the last bit of this farm go away. This is the last piece of the farm. It's an area that's sort of wedged in between Highland Park Elementary and two housing developments on either side of it. In that sense, it makes sense. It doesn't, a farm there actually now sort of sticks out. But this is what sprawl looks like, and development is at that point right now where it makes sense here. But 20 years ago it didn't. But 20 years from now, this will make sense again.
Sorry, it looks like, I apologize. It looks like we have Mark connected yet now.
Okay. So,
hi there.
Hi, I'm still speaking, so let's finish me, and then we'll go back to questions if we could. We can hear you now, which is great. So a couple of things came up in the process of looking at this pasture property, and there are some significant drainage issues. The big one outlined in yellow on the map there, which is a karst feature. But where there is a fountain up along 3rd Street, Mr. Quillman noticed an indentation in the soil, and that is something that the developers agreed to address. When I looked at, I think it was on my third visit to the property, because I do have a lot of concerns. The driveway that goes to Park Square Road, that is on the north, sort of toward the north, right there. Yes, thank you. Yes, that one. There is a significant leveling issue where that roadway is going to have to be built up significantly with soil. And part of building 3, which is just to the north of that entryway, is going to have to either be built on in a sloped area, or they're going to have to do some more soil modification. That's all been addressed by the developer, but it just gives you a sense of how much there is to do on this property. Until they get in there, they don't really know what those soils are like, or how close the bedrock is to the surface. So there's a lot to work through on this particular development. So I don't know if either Mark or Daniel have comments they'd like to make, or questions they want to answer now, or we can send them along and address them next week.
I would like to answer some of the questions. I think Daniel can answer some of the drainage questions, because we've already done a soil report and a wetland report, so we have a lot of it. I think a lot of the questions that you're looking for, we already have answers for. But I'll answer a couple of questions that you had regarding rent levels and the process, and I'll just be brief. We have started this process, as we know. Overall, the plan does, closely follow the comprehensive plan. It was a good experience going through the plan commission staff. We feel that the end result is an overall better product. We like the additions that we made with the retail and the fountain along the road. Regarding, in my 25 years of experience, never had a community overall, including the neighbors, companies, retail users support this development. And regarding the rent levels, and we call it workforce housing, which is a broad term. And this is for people that work in the area. And this went to Cook and Ivy Tech and a bunch of other companies, and and to the HR departments, and they know that they need housing, and this newer housing, which their employees want, and that's the reason they supported it. By having the shuttle, which will start immediately once we have once we have occupancy, having a shuttle available, and also having this option to live so close to work where you can walk or bike to work, actually reduces travel time, which increases quality of life for people and people's happiness. But that also decreases the cost of living, because they do live so close, and we're providing options for them. Yes, we will have covered parking options throughout the development. And overall, even at $875 to almost $1,100, that rent level is still considered affordable housing in the area. When you consider the rent level, it's not just rent level. They are basically getting a free membership to a gym. That's a $50 to $100 value there. They're getting amenities, which is the storage lockers. They have spaces to have their own meetings in the clubhouse. They get basically a resort pool, which is also another amenity. If they would pay for that separately. So when you add it all up, there is a great value there for the employees, which is, I think, why the companies in the area support it. I think overall, the density from high density to lower density, it's overall, it came out to be a nice plan. We're excited about it, especially with the 60% open space. Regarding, specifically the soils and the leveling, we're used to doing that. And we've gone above and beyond what the drainage requirements are. And we've, basically satisfied all the requirements that people are looking for. But I think Daniel can answer some of the questions regarding already our soil reports, and some more additional questions on the drainage. The occupancy of the house, she's looking forward, where she has the option to stay there as long as she wants, and that's our agreement with her, so once she vacates, the house will be demolished and then the new building will go up. We're not retrofitting the building or the barn; it would all be torn down. So I think that generally, I answered your overall questions. I think Daniel couldn't answer some of the soil report questions at this point, as we're already drawing up the final engineering plans.
Thank you so much. Mr. Butler?
It looks like Daniel may still not have their audio working right now.
Okay. So, and then Ms. Crecelius, just if you could send that question along about the bike lockers, because I just learned that we talked about that. The other thing I would say about workforce housing, and this is something that I'm hopeful that we can address in the next CDO county development ordinance, is the fact that anybody could say, well, this is workforce housing and it sounds great, and everybody's like, oh, this is good, this is an entry level living arrangement, and we could look at, well, how do rents compare, and you're comparing them against student rents downtown, and those are very, very different. The issue with workforce housing and just sort of that blanket statement is that once this is built, we as a county cannot control what happens to the rents. We cannot control, we have no mechanism to set a rent or to control a rent. And the same thing with housing prices. There may be an intention, a developer may intend to sell housing at a certain level, and those intentions sound really good, but we cannot control how they're going to be listed, and if they really truly are going to be affordable for folks in our community. And so that's a real issue that we have to grapple with as a county. So I always take affordable, the term affordable, or the term workforce with a grain of salt. And that's not to say that there is any malevolence intended by this particular developer or any developer. It's just that people need to understand that we don't have a definition and we don't have control over the market. And so we have to find some way to provide an assurance to our community that these things will be held fast and that they will be affordable or truly something somebody in the workforce can afford, somebody at the entry level of the workforce can afford. And that's just my little, just a little disclaimer so folks know what all of this means. Let's go ahead and see if there's,
can you guys hear me?
Yes, please.
Hey, sorry, Julie and Penny. This is Daniel with Biden Faneuil and Associates. So I think my audio went out, but just to follow up to a few of those questions, we're looking into the best solution environmentally for that corner up there at our new intersection that we are proposing. That is in that kind of fill area that you're worried about, Julie. And we understand that, and so we're looking at options of stepping that building and creating an area that would be consistent with the geotechnical report, and looking at, we're having an environmental study done right now that would help with that solution, as well as along with protecting that sinkhole area is one of our top priorities with this project. As you can see, we worked around it. We could have tried different things to go through that or around it. We're also surrounded with ponds, so that any stormwater that would flow from parking lots, buildings, or anything would be captured by those. And we're working with Terry Quillman and the Drainage Department now on, do we empty those into the sinkhole or do we carry those along and keep those out? I could see both working just fine, but whatever the preferences of all those involved is best. So that's kind of, we're looking at that area more as we continue final construction documents as this gets approved. And then we've worked quite extensively with the Drainage Board for Monroe County on making sure that we protect the downstream flood areas. We understand that there are flooding areas downstream of this, and we're going to go above and beyond. You can see how many ponds there are, especially on the south side. If you look at that map, that's a pretty sizable pond, pretty large for this size of development, and that's just to hold back. I'm not saying hold back the amount of water, I'm saying the rate at which it's released, and that decreased flooding, because we also don't want to decrease the amount of water for, I don't know, groundwater hydrology downstream as well. So it's a fine balance in that engineered solution that would work, but should be helping with not totally solving the problem, but helping it from this development standpoint. And as you guys have already mentioned, it's only required to have 25% open space on this. So we could make this denser. We've chosen not to. Part of that is protecting those environmentally sensitive areas and creating extra pond areas. And we're only at we're actually at 40% of open space, green area. So we feel like it's a good project, fits with around it, and not as dense as we can make it.
Great. Can you talk about those bike lockers? I thought we had talked about that and that you had plans for those.
Yeah, we do have bike parking around the site in different locations. I believe, though, that the majority of our bike parking is actually indoors. I'm not sure if they're bike lockers or if they're locked spaces. Yeah. They're actually within the building footprint. Mark, can you speak to that, or? Mark, you there? You're on mute, Mark.
Hi, I'm muted. We do put a lot of the bike lockers inside the building and in secure spaces, but we'll do a combination. The majority of them will be inside, but we'll also have some on the outside as well.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this, it was referred to as covered parking. Maybe it was near the retail on the north end, or maybe the resting area or something. But I thought there was some additional discussion about that. Yeah.
We were talking about doing some kind of enclosed parking for the Karst Trail area, and then like some kind of area up there. So that's where we got it. But then we changed it into the Karst, the Fountain Plaza area. So that's what that space is. But we will have there'll be outside parking there. We can look at also potentially, if we have the room for it, some covered parking there as well. In case it's raining or whatever, for the residents and also the users of it, and also for the public.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Giffens, did we address all your questions? Did they address all your questions?
I had also wondered if there would be additional charge for the garage parking, or if that included in the rent that people will pay for their unit.
For the townhomes.
Yeah.
This is Daniel again. I don't believe that there's any additional charge for any parking on site, but Mark, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm not even again. So a lot of the units have attached garages, and those are usually part of the rent. The detached garages, there's I forgot how many we have, because I don't have a site plan in front of me. But the detached garages would be an extra fee. It's usually about $50 or $60.
And Mark, you're talking only for the detached garages. You're not talking for the rest of the parking on site. There's no extra fee for that or anything, correct?
Correct. There's no extra fee for parking, and there's no extra fee if you have a second car. So yeah, that's all part of the amenity package.
Good. Other questions, Commissioner Githens?
No, I still just am a little worried about the starting prices, you know, when I look at first and last month rent and we talk about other things that go in, that it'll be several $1,000s for somebody to get into one of these units up front. And so for young workers, that might be a little steep, that's all.
Okay. Let's go back and see if we have Commissioner Jones back on with audio. Do you have questions or comments, Commissioner Jones?
It looks like Commissioner Jones is not currently available. I suspect she may be having reception issues.
Okay. Let's go ahead and see, and especially because she's not here, I think this would be good to hold over a week. Let's go ahead and see if there's any public comment on this item. Just go to the bottom of the screen for those of you on Zoom and click the raise hand button. It looks like we have a few. Mr. Shelton?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Shelton speaking on behalf of the Chamber. We support this. I don't want to say regardless of the price, but workforce housing price is very subjective, but we need a lot more housing for people who are working in that area. This will be even more important in the future as the old ABB site, which is getting opened up by the Profile Parkway extension, as it develops. The land along the hook from Daniels Way out to Hard Strait is developed, and the former GE site is developed. We're going to have much more demand for housing out there. It would be wonderful to be able to get on a shuttle and go to that job or ride a bike or even walk if you're in the right spot. And then, of course, access to the existing businesses in Ivy Tech. This is a very good place for more housing. It's also very convenient to Crane. You can jump on ice as convenient as any place is from Monroe County almost, or from Bloomington certainly, because of the easy access to I-69. So we think it's a very good proposal. We certainly encourage you to work out the details, and you're obviously doing that. So we support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. It looks like we have another commenter, Ms. Johnson.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Nicole Johnson. I just have two things. First of all, I'd like to just speak to the term of workforce versus affordable housing. Of course, we need all of this. It's been identified though by, I'm not sure if it was county or city council, or it could have been you ladies, but somebody talked about the need really being at the $600 range. And that is what I think that we should be shooting for in this, especially being close to Ivy Tech, for sure. And then the only other thing I just wanted to mention is I've noticed that a lot of interior hallways are going up in Bloomington. We have the Crescent, or Union and Crescent, or Crescent at Union. I always get confused with that one, the new one. And then Kinzer Flats is about to open. And then now I'm just seeing this, and I would like to point out that the Union at Crescent is having some difficulties with that. And you guys actually may want to look into that before you move forward with any more interior hallways that allow animals. And that's my comments.
Can you explain a little bit more about the Union and Crescent issue?
Well, I mean, the building's locked. You're not allowed to get inside, right? Okay, so,
Okay.
And I'm the director of Pigeon Hill Pantry, and there are a lot of Section 8 housing in that building. And so you can't get inside. You have to contact a resident, and they have to come down and let you in. There's no buzzer in their apartments or anything like that. I am currently helping an individual in there with disabilities and animals. They are a Section 8 recipient. They are previously houseless, and I'm doing my best to help keep her in housing. And she's having some serious transition issues being on the 4th floor, even with the elevator, transitioning her dogs from outside living to fourth floor living. And she's not the only person, mind you. The whole building they tried to sanction the whole building and send out mass letters. And I can forward one of those to you. I have a
That'd be
copy because it's not actually legal from what I understand. But yeah, anyways, there's some issues with the interior hallways and people receiving access. I know she's been unable to receive her pantry 279 boxes and other access. So there's some issues with that. And before you move for any interior hallways, access needs to be accessible to services. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I appreciate the additional information, and please send that along to us via email. You can find us on co.monroe.in.us and civil government, and you can click on send us an email. It looks like we might have, nope, we did, and she's gone. We had Commissioner Jones back, and now she's gone again. Sorry. All right, let's see if there's any other public comment on this item. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion, just given especially the connection issues that Commissioner Jones is having, but also the issues we had with some questions and the fact that this is a massive shifting development. I'm going to go ahead and move that we table ordinance 2021-01 until our next meeting, which is January 27th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Oh, Commissioner Jones is back. Do you have any comments or questions that you want to talk about today?
I'm afraid I missed almost all of that.
Yeah.
My husband got out of surgery early, and I talked to nurses and all kinds of stuff.
No, that's okay. So we're moving.
I missed everything.
That's okay. So you can watch the CADS archive, of course, but we will be we're going to hear this again next week when you're back. So yeah. I hope all is well. So Mr.
Okay,
Cockrell, will you please call the roll on tabling or continuing? I said the wrong thing. I always do that. Continuing ordinance 2021-01 until our meeting next week.
Yes, Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Commissioner Jones is back home. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. We appreciate your patience, and we will deal with this one more time. But it is a massive development, and it's an important one for us. And we want to make sure that if anybody in the community has comments, that they feel that they can contact us between now and then, or to join our meeting next week. Excellent.
Sounds good. We understand.
Thank you, Mr. Butler, and thank you, Mark. Sorry, I don't have your last name. Great. And Ms. Crecilius, I want to thank you again for your presentation. And I anticipate your return next week, and just for a shorter recap as needed.
Thank you.
Do the whole thing again. Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on to item B, and I'll have Commissioner Jones make a motion, please.
Oh, I don't have that. Wait, just 1 minute. Item B. Move to approve Monroe County entity reimbursement grant claims. Is that right? The right one?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, my.
Do you want to have Commissioner Githens make the
Move
motion?
to approve Monroe County entity reimbursement grant.
I wonder if Commissioner Jones just got pulled off the same way I did a minute ago.
Yeah, no, she's not anywhere on the call at all. She got totally disconnected. She'll come back to us. Why don't you go ahead and make a motion, Commissioner Githens? Just
Sure. Move to approve Monroe County Entity Reimbursement Grant Claims Fund Number 1000, Fund Number 1000-36999-000-0069 in the amount of $21,857.53.
I will go ahead and second that. That's okay. She's eager. I like that. Good morning, Ms. Gregory. What can you tell us about this?
Good morning. Again, this is the continuation of Monroe County's CARES dollars at work. You decided to share this with the community businesses that may need some assistance covering the expenses of COVID. So I know they are very, very grateful and thankful that you have chosen to do this. This week, we are, of course, pending your approval, helping 3 businesses for the total amount, as you stated, of $21,857.53. Including this amount in total, you have contributed $481,759.04 to local taxing units and businesses.
Great, thank you so much. Let's see if there are comments or questions. Commissioner Githens?
I was pleased to see one of the entities was Wonder Lab.
Yeah. Commissioner Jones?
I'm back again.
Do you have comments or questions on this item, which is the CARES grant claims reimbursement for Monroe County entities? Okay, so I will say that for the public's edification, that right now our program officially runs through the beginning of, well, the end of January. But that's because we have a meeting, council meeting next Tuesday night. So for those of you in the community who support this, I would ask that you make your support known. As the county council will be looking at this and other general CARES dollars allocations, and we hope to continue this program. It is so important to be able to provide this. So if you're a business or social service agency in Monroe County and you have expenses that are related to COVID that you've not found another way to cover, like through a loan or a grant, these have to be non-payroll expenses. We ask that you please get your forms submitted because for all we know, this program may close out. Hopefully it will not. The council's been great to work with, so I don't anticipate any issue, but just get that in, get that receipt in and get that paperwork in. You go to co.monroe.in.us and you can find the application right smack dab in the middle of our homepage. So we do want to encourage folks to not wait, but to get moving on that. And so with that, let's see if there is any public comment on this item. Please go to the bottom of your screen and click on raise hand. Mr. Shelton, welcome back.
Hi again. Speaking for the chamber, want to thank you for all this support that you've done. This is very vital to the business community and to the not-for-profits like Wonder Lab. So thank you for this, and we certainly encourage the council, and we'll be there to encourage the council to continue supporting. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I also want to give a special shout out to Ms. Gregory, Ms. Malone, who've done amazing work, along with Ms. Owens, who's been contracted to administer this program. Amazing. You all are amazing. When folks are desperate, businesses are desperate, and you are moving that money as quickly as you can. And I know there was a bit of a lull with the change in the year and changing over our budgets and all of that. But boy, I know it's been a lot of work, but you've done wonders. So thank you for that. Great attention to that.
Thank you.
Right. Did you have something to add, Ms. Moore? You came back on screen.
No, I just was shaking my head in that comment that you had. There's so much behind the scenes work with that CARES money, and they are an amazing team. And just for the public to hear, you know, they just announced some number like it's nothing. She just comes on like it's nothing, and kudos to them.
Yes, absolutely. And they've been working on the FEMA grant. So I know that that's been an ongoing issue. And I will, you know, the $481,759 was not one chunk. That came in bits and bobs of, you know, here's $1,112.42. And, you know, it's in small increments, and businesses have applied multiple times before they reach their cap. That is a great point. So thank you for raising that. Let's see if there are, if there's any other public comment on this item. Let's see if Commissioner Jones, who's back on, has any comments or questions.
It looks like she needs to get unmuted. I believe it's *6 to unmute.
Should be *6 to unmute. Yes. It looks like she's joined by phone. Okay. All right. Well, Commissioner Jones, if you have questions along the way or comments, you can always text me, and I would be happy to relay those for the public. So with that, we don't have any other public comment. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the approving the Monroe County Entity Reimbursement Grant claims?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones, or Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved 2-0.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Gregory, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Please pass on our thanks.
Absolutely.
All right. And we'll move on to item C. Commissioner Githens, if you would, please.
Move to approve the 2020 Monroe County Total Compensation Report, 100R.
I will second that. Ms. Gregory, a different hat in the auditor's office. What can you tell us?
Well, I'm glad I waited for your second this time. Anyhow, the 100R is a report required by Indiana Code that we do annually. And what it is, it's just a certified report of names, duties, and compensation for all Monroe County employees. So we are required to publish this, present to you, of course, for approval, and we also upload to Gateway. So just one of those annual tasks.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I will note for anybody in the community who's a little political nerd like I am, that you can go to Gateway and see any county's payroll report. And it will tell you how much they pay for different positions in different counties. But note that oftentimes you're comparing apples to oranges. You may see the title of a particular job position here, and it may be a very different, there may be very different tasks assigned or requirements in another county. So always be careful when looking at that, but it is very interesting to see and compare Monroe County with other counties. But this is that information from us that goes into that system. Excellent. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones? See if she can get unmuted.
We're troubleshooting right now.
Okay. We could take a pause after this item too, and give you all a minute to work through that. Commissioner Githens, comments, questions?
I'll just note that this was also published in today's Herald Times.
Good point. Thank you. So let's see if there's anyone from the public who has a comment to make. Just go to the bottom of your screen and click on raise hand. I don't see any. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the motion to approve the 2020 Monroe County Total Compensation Report 100R?
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved 2-0.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Gregory, with your other hat on. Thank you.
Thanks again.
So with that, we're going to take a pause I'm going to put us into a quick recess so that we can get the technical issues addressed before we get to items D and E. And you will see that note, Ms. Dayton, also to try to get Mr. Gilmore moved into panelist before we go to the next item. Just give us an audio cue when you are ready. I'm going to step away and for a moment from my camera. Just let us know when you're ready via audio. Thanks, everyone. We'll come back in a few minutes. Get started again. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ms. Dayton. You're amazing. All right. We will move on now to item D. Commissioner Giffens.
Oh, hi, sorry. Move to approve continued support of weekend services by Beacon Inc., previously known as Shalom. Fund name, County General, fund number 1000, in the amount of $22,000 pending council appropriation.
Great. I will second that. Ms. Purdy, do you want to start us off, please? Uh-oh. Ms. Purdy, you are muted. Mr. Cockrell?
Yes. Good morning. This agenda item is to kind of continue a program that we've had for a while with additional days and utilization of the Shalom Center. I think the amount is the same. It's pending council appropriation. So once that's in place, if you choose to approve it today, it would be ready to go.
Great. Thank you so much. So this is not on the agenda for the council next week, right? It would be in February sometime, correct?
I would assume so, yes. With the advertising requirements, I think that would have to happen.
Right. Excellent. Reverend Gilmore, would you like to speak about this program, this great program?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support for this. Just a little history. So back in 2017, there were some issues in downtown Kirkwood that some of us may remember. There was issues at People's Park with people who were street homeless down there, and there were lots of concerns about some behavioral issues and other things. And there was a downtown resource committee task force that came together to make some recommendations about some solutions and resolutions to that problem. And one of the major recommendations that came out of that group was to move Shalom Center, our day center, from 5 days a week to 7 days a week. And we've been operating that way ever since, thanks to county support. Right now, the approximate cost of the program is about $66,000, and so the county and the city and originally corporate sponsors have funded the third of that, and really appreciate that. And so we're continuing to request that so we can keep going with that. Keeping the weekend open, our weekend services open. And just a context, we don't count names at the door, so it's a little hard to get impact, but one of the things we know is that last year we served approximately 21,000 meals over the course of the weekend, so that gives you a sense of at least some of the impact. Several thousand showers and laundry uses as well during the weekend. So definitely a significant benefit in giving people a safe place to go 7 days a week.
Great. Thank you so much, Reverend Gilmore. Ms. Purdy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I do not. I apologize. I stepped away and
I surprised you. We're back. When we have Commissioner Jones on, it's like we got to keep moving.
I totally understand.
Hold on to her while we have her. Let's see if there are comments or questions. Commissioner Jones?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. No, I'm sorry. I'm afraid I have been so involved just trying to be here that I didn't hear much. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Commissioner Giffens, comments, questions?
No, I'm proud that we live in a community that does this for people.
Yeah, absolutely. The need does not stop on the weekends, but it is very hard to fund the weekends. And so that's why this kind of work is so important. That many meals, showers, laundry service, all of the necessities of life that we take for granted when we have housing. It's really important to have this. So excellent. So happy that we're able to continue this, and we will present this to the council forthwith for support. Let's go ahead and see if there are any comments on this particular item? Any public comment? Raise your hand, bottom of the screen. Does not look like it. Oh, Ms. Johnson, great.
Hi, thank you so much again for letting me speak. I just wanted to say thank you for funding this very much. So,
sure.
And I yield my time.
Thank you. Looks like Mr. Goodlad. I hope that's you, Alex G.
Yeah.
Great, welcome.
I want to second Nicole Johnson's comment and thank you for funding this. Though, and I'll sort of save what I want to say more later with the next item or whichever item is about signing on to the open letter. But I want to say that, I like the emergency shelter, it'll temporarily fix the issue, but we really need to think about I guess like on the horizon, right? There's going to be a mass eviction crisis very, very soon. And, we kind of need to think about what more we need to do. And I'll yield my time and I'll discuss more what I mean in the next item.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Looks like Ms. Keeley.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Keeley, and I just wanted to say thank you as well for funding this. I think it's very important, and it's a positive thing for our county to be putting a lot of money towards things like this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent. All right. With that, we don't have any other public comment. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the motion to approve continued support of weekend services by Beacon Shalom?
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And now we will move on to item F. Commissioner Githens, would you make the motion, please?
Is item E.
I'm sorry, item E. Sorry.
That's okay.
Can't read.
We work together. Move to approve resolution 2021-07 concerning Seminary Park prohibition on camping, and resolution that approves $20,000 for the purpose of helping. And I'd like to read this resolution if possible. This is a resolution regarding the response to enforcement of the City Parks Department prohibition on camping at Seminary Park. Whereas people experiencing homelessness have been camping at the City of Bloomington's Seminary Park, and the city indicated that it planned to remove all people experiencing homelessness from the park on January 11th, 2021. And the county government and other governmental units are supporting social services agencies, including United Way and the Community Foundation, and are working diligently and in a coordinated manner to provide a safe alternative to the camping. And sleeping outside is not a safe, I think that's supposed to be alternate to the current arrangement prior to providing a safe alternative, will do further harm, including increased risks of COVID-19 exposure and transmission, and pushing homelessness into higher risk areas. In an open letter to the Mayor of Bloomington, John Hamilton, attached as Exhibit A, was circulated, and each commissioner individually agreed with the letter and signed onto the letter. However, formal action by the commissioners in a public meeting is legally required in order for the letter to be effectively signed by the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. And on Thursday, January 14th, the city did enforce the prohibition on camping at Seminary Park. And on January 14th, Reverend Gilmore, the executive director of Beacon, Inc., also formerly known as Shalom Center, requested the county commit to $20,000 in funding, joining other governmental units, Perry Township and Bloomington Township, and a social service agency, Beacon Inc., for the provision of a safe alternative to camping. And the total commitment from all funding sources will be approximately $60,000. And the commissioners find it is in the best interest of the county to partner in funding a safe alternative to camping during the COVID pandemic. Now therefore be it approved and ratified by the Monroe County Board of Commissioners that 1, the Board of Monroe County Commissioners support the open letter to the City of Bloomington attached as Exhibit A and ratifies the board's signature to the same. And 2, the Board of Commissioners commit to funding up to $20,000 for the provision of a winter low barrier shelter. Such commitment is contingent upon approval of a grant agreement between Monroe County and Beacon Inc.
Excellent. I will second that, and thank you so much, Commissioner Githens, for reading that. I think it's important to have that sort of on the table, that this is a two-part resolution, both of which are important and are connected with the other. Let's see, first of all, if Mr. Cockrell, if you want to speak on this item.
I can, although reading it in full, I think speaks much more volume than I could. Again, it's really doing two things. One is ratifying the commissioners signing off on the letter to the mayor, and then also providing additional some funding as requested so that we can help ameliorate the problem in a much more expedited manner than would have happened normally.
Great. Yep, excellent. First, let's see if my colleagues have comments or questions. Commissioner Jones?
I'm just very proud to have signed this letter. I'm proud that the commissioners are now signing it as a board, and it just feels like we're doing the right thing.
Excellent. Commissioner Githens?
I wholeheartedly support this effort.
Yeah. And just, I just want to clarify a couple things, and I agree with my colleagues. This is really good. This is separate from the $22,000 we just considered, which is for weekend services. This is specifically for a low barrier shelter space that Reverend Gilmore and Beacon Shalom have worked really hard to procure, to get all of the permits done, and to create a space with dozens of safe places to sleep. We know that people should not be sleeping outside in the winter. We do know that a long-term and medium-term solution is desperately needed in our community. We recognize that. We are grateful for United Way Community Foundation, and especially the township trustees in Bloomington and Perry, Kim Alexander and Dan Combs. Those township trustees have really just muscled in and are working really hard on this, creating that medium and long-term solution. And we're going to be part of it. We're going to help any way we can, but we're not going to step on anyone's toes. We've kind of made that very clear to everybody involved. What do you need? Let us know. So this is really separate funding. We're intending to use CARES dollars for this because this really is a COVID-related issue. And so that is our intention. It still needs to be to go through the council approval next week, and just in terms of our general CARES allocation, but this would fit under the shelter mode of the CARES funding. This is such an important thing, and we don't want folks to be camping in Seminary Park or on Rogers and county property, because that's especially not safe. We want to ensure that there are plenty of beds, plenty of space, and we want to get folks into safety and warmth, and we want to protect them. And again, we see this as a short-term solution, but by gosh, this is the best thing that could have happened. So Reverend Gilmore, would you like to speak on this? And it looks, Ms. Dayton, like he may have some photos to share on share screen, which you're welcome to do.
Feel free to share whenever you're ready.
Oh gosh, for me to share them?
Yes.
Oh, I emailed them. So
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will check that real quick.
Do you have those, Commissioner Githens, or who has
I
them?
sent them to
Michelle.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Has them.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. She's
Well,
better
Jess
at
got
it.
them. I'll get them ready right now.
Great.
Are they
Fine.
on my
We've
phone,
got
but
some
I
other.
don't have them on my. I don't have them on the computer.
I think it's I think it's worth noting too how quickly Reverend Gilmore and his board put this together. This has been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And no hurry, Ms. Dayton, because we want to hear from Reverend Gilmore. So tell us about it, and we'll see the pictures when we see them.
One of my staff members just brought in the big article on the paper today, so that was kind of exciting. That may be the little background noise you heard there, yeah, we're very excited. Yesterday was 11 days from idea to I don't know, manifestation, which is, thank you for those kind comments, which is ridiculously fast, and we were grateful that that was possible. It began with, I think it's important to know how this began. So it began as a survey it began with the issue in the park. Let's put it that way. It began with that issue and that kind of eviction proceeding and the attempt to ban tents in the daytime by the city. All of that coming together and the public outreach that led to that created a really strong situation to kind of address what was going on as best as possible. Among those, we're trying to prevent the evictions, which we thought would do further harm, but also to try and figure out what were the barriers to people seeking out shelter and why weren't people going to shelter. And so our street outreach team went and did a survey of people experiencing street homelessness. In particular, they went into seminary and interviewed people there. They interviewed in total 44 people. Of those, 39 indicated they had been sleeping in Seminary Park and 5 had been sleeping in other parts of the city. They also had a kind of a non-surveyed estimate that there was another 20 people or so camping in other parts of our community on the streets, and that didn't even count people who were sleeping in their cars. So I think what was most impactful about that is, again, we weren't trying to kind of find out how many people were out there as much as we were trying to find out why people weren't seeking shelter. And in the process of that survey, we discovered there were a lot more people experiencing street homelessness than we realized, and a lot more people at Seminary Park than we realized. I think our more on the ground estimate was 15 to 20. But when we did the actual by name survey, we discovered the numbers were substantially higher. And that just told us very clearly that regardless of the obstacles that people have to accessing the current shelters, there just simply wasn't enough sheltering for people in our community, and that we needed to find some kind of response to that quickly. And so that's when the idea emerged for the new location, which is technically it's 310 West Hillside. It's the old CrossFit Bloomington business in a big warehouse along the Beeline Trail off of the Switchard Park there. And actually Friends Place has been occupying the southeast corner of that building, and this is in the northeast corner of that building. And so we had originally considered it as an option for Friends Place early on and decided that the southeast corner was a better option. But this, as it occurred to me, this seemed like a really good potential option for a quick winter shelter to get people up and get it into a space. It's basically just a 4,000 square foot square, and it had heat, it had sprinklers, which has allowed us, given COVID, to meet all of the fire codes we needed to meet to turn it into a shelter. And I think that's important to know. If we weren't in a COVID state of emergency, we could not have passed the regulations for this space. And that's how hard it is to find shelter in our community. It's because we're in a state of emergency right now that occupancy codes don't require this building to fit into the exact occupancy code of what it's supposed to fit into. fire code we had to meet, and we were grateful we could meet, but it doesn't fit into, and this building doesn't fit into the occupancy code of homeless shelter. And if it hadn't fit into that, then we wouldn't have been able to, outside of the state of emergency, be able to use this space. And so I think that's good to know for future reference, how hard it is to find like an urgent space like this to shelter people. But we did go through all this process, got the fire code. Very grateful to Jason Moore, fire chief, who helped us get the fire code all set and ready to go. We had an amazing team of volunteers over the weekend that came and set it up. American Red Cross came in to brought us cots. We had Catholic Youth Organization Camp donate mats to put on top of the cots to make those more comfortable. And again, just all kinds of things, food, cleaning supplies, blankets, pillows. Just people have been donating things and time to set it up. We did open our very first night last night. We had 29 people come, and that actually was quite a lot larger than I expected, given a first night opening and trying to get the word out. And that 26 of those spent the night. Three came in just to get warm for a little bit and then left. But 26 did sleep there that night or stayed there for the bulk of the night. And so we anticipate, sadly, if you will, that those numbers will grow as the word gets out and as people start to trust this space and realize it is a safe place for them. We used that survey to kind of determine what barriers were out there to people accessing the shelters that currently existed. And we found a number of key barriers that we attempted to eliminate. And those included having a partner and not wanting to be separated. Those included religious reasons and religious concerns. Those included distance and trying to, navigate a distance to get to some of the shelters that were particularly hard to get to. Pets and access, having a dog and not being allowed into the shelter with your dog, and LGBTQ concerns were some fears around. So there were a lot of kind of just basic barriers like that were inhibiting people's access to shelters. And so we did our best to eliminate all of those. And as well as it's a low barrier shelter, which means that people can come in intoxicated or high, which again, sobriety is not a requirement or never should be for someone to have a safe place to sleep. And so that's kind of where we are right now. Again, we have 49 total beds in the place, so we filled a bit more than half last night. Probably the most, probably in terms of just observation, some things that I thought were interesting about last night is we had 7 couples, which was quite interesting. And every single woman that came to the shelter was in a couple. So that was just interesting, just something to note and recognize as that the lack of couples beds could create a significant barrier, particularly to women. I also noticed that the people who came, that intoxication or being high wasn't we didn't see that in high numbers, but we did see a pretty substantial number of people with severe mental illness, delusional based mental illness. So that was pretty sad. So just to see some of the folks who came in truly who have been utterly marginalized by society, and to honestly to create a space for the folks that came last night was for lack of was so inspiring that a number of us were tearing up. It was just a beautiful moment to see people come in, to see people trust us in that way, and to access safety, at least for the night. And again, it was a very relatively uneventful night, and I'm just really grateful for your support of this and our ability to get this up so fast, so we can get people out of the weather, at least for the next 3 months through the winter.
Yeah.
I think the pictures are ready to show too.
Great.
Like to,
excellent.
yeah.
Show those if you want
If you want to narrate them.
Yes, you can give us the narrative account. Ms. Dayton, please pull those up. Thank you. Oh,
This
first
is-
picture.
Yeah, so this
Sorry,
is
that's the one it started on.
Okay. That's
what I
fine.
love about this is, oh, we could go back there. Okay. But yeah, so this is the entrance. This is a CrossFit, former CrossFit location. And you can even see the move to underneath there. And so that's the space. It's, again, this is just a giant warehouse along the 100,000 square foot warehouse along the Beeline Trail and Switchyard Park. And so that's the entrance. Here you can see this. So this is inside. You can see a lot of CrossFit memorabilia from the past there, and the hammer of Thor, I think, is particularly fascinating. And but these are the cots that were donated by the Red Cross, and that's right now we're looking at the men's section of the room. But as you can tell, it's basically a giant square. It's giant, and so it's very, very wide open. You can see the whole space pretty much from anywhere in the space. So this is one little room, it's kind of like almost like a little 2-floor like lighthouse, or like a lifeguard tower. But there's a little lower desk here, and that's where we're serving food from. And then up above there's just like room, and we have a lot of food storage up there. But these are just some of the volunteers that came out. So it just gives you an indication of just a few of the volunteers, the many volunteers that came out over Sunday and Monday. And this makes my heart swoon. These are just some children who came out and with their family and their families to kind of set up some shelving units that we put upstairs for the food. And it was that shelving unit turned out to be a perfect child project. And so it was just fantastic. And they did a great job with total vigor and passion. Here's a couple's bed, an example of a couple's bed. These are before we put the mats down, but one of the things that some of the volunteers did is they put up little Valentines throughout the building. And so this is a couple's bed with a Valentine over top. Each bed, as you can see, has a sheet to go under, a blanket to go on top, and then has a storage bin next to it for people to store their things, pillow, of course, as well. And just a little note to welcome people and kind of help them feel welcome in the space. And that's one of the signs that someone created. That one particularly moved me. I thought it was beautiful and well done. And this is the food. This is the food storage upstairs in that lifeguard tower of a room, and one of our staff members. And then we're back to the toilets. And one of the things that was really important is the toilets were the last kind of step that we needed to achieve in order to open. And so those came Tuesday morning, just the day before we opened. The day of the night we opened. And thank you to Beverly Calendar Anderson and the city for allowing us to place them there. It's kind of like a moat. There's a big giant moat around the whole building. It's just a hill off. So that was really the only flat space with any access of that door. And we certainly didn't want to put them inside. And they wouldn't have been accessible to the cleaning maintenance trucks inside. So we're real grateful for that, to be able to place those there. and have that public access to restrooms there.
Excellent. Can you tell folks who might be interested in helping out if there are any specific items you need at this moment, or how they can volunteer their time, or who to contact?
Yeah, excellent. So we have a running kind of Google Doc of what's needed. And I believe that's available right now on the Bloomington Homeless Coalition page that can be found. And I will get it up. I don't think it's on our personal Facebook page yet, but I'll make sure that that gets up on our Facebook page. And to volunteer, people can contact our volunteer coordinator, Sue at beaconinc.org, Sue@beaconinc.org. And we're looking for volunteers for shifts between 8:30 and 11:30 every night, and then in the morning again 5:30 to about 7:30 for kind of cleaning up and wake up and things like that, as well as I think right now we might be pretty good with that, but we may need backups for laundry and meals, like we have people providing chili and soup and things like that for a dinner. So those are we might be set at the moment, but I'm sure we'll need backups for that role, and we'll definitely need those nighttime, the intake and exit times every day. That'll be really grateful and help just clean up and things like that.
Excellent. Thank you, Reverend Gilmore. Let's see if we have comments or questions from Commissioner Jones.
This is just an amazing project that it got pulled together so quickly and really benefits the community incredibly well. I did have one question. I noticed that most of the volunteers working inside the building preparing it were wearing coats or jackets. And I was wondering if the heat just hadn't been turned on yet, or if it's protected but not really that warm, or why that was.
Yeah, good question. I think the doors were open a lot that day, and so it was pretty cold in there, and the heat does struggle a bit to keep up. But last night we were able to hit 68 pretty comfortably, and so it's definitely warm in there. Certainly warm enough in there. But we did get up to 68 last night as we gave it a little time to warm up, and all the bodies inside, helped to keep that temperature a little higher. But it is a big, vast kind of warehouse space, and it's got 2 heaters pumping out heat, but they do struggle a bit to keep up, but we were able to at least hit that temp.
Thank you. Yeah, I can imagine that it would be a difficult place to heat. I had just been wondering if people weren't maybe going to need more blankets than just one.
Yeah, we've actually had a remarkable response with blankets, so we've got plenty. And it's just been awe-inspiring, the community response to this. People have really wanted a way to help. It's very clear that people have really been looking for a way to help, and the community is responding. And so obviously it's been really important to get that going so fast and get that support, and we'll need that support continually through the next 3 months as we keep this open and provide a safe space for winter.
Right. Excellent. Commissioner Githens, I know you were out there yesterday.
I was, and for people who are willing to bring food in the evenings, that we need to remember that there's no way for people to wash the utensils and plates and stuff, so they need to provide those and be willing to take them away again. I know that's a concern. And then also, Reverend Gilmore and I have talked at one point about whether or not folks there would benefit from having big suitcases that are on wheels to move their things in and out with. Would you mind speaking to that just for a few seconds?
Sure, yeah, this is a common need. Carrying people's things is a great challenge, and one way that can be really helpful is through wheeled suitcases. Those are commonly used for people to carry things around and help them transport their things. It's amazing to think about, and sad to think about, that some people, their entire all of their possessions are contained in such a small object like that. But that's the reality, is that people have that kind of stuff, and so something like that could be really beneficial to just help them, not lose their stuff. A lot of things, it's not the resources aren't such where people can do laundry every day, for example, and so many of us have a week or two or more of clothing ready to go, where we but when you're homeless, you can't carry around that much things, so you need to keep your things more clean more commonly, and so giving people the ability to carry around more things, and carry a coat when it's cold. Like, for example, when it's, the weather varies so much, and some days it's warmer and some days it's colder, and you don't need as much clothing on the warmer days. And it's very tempting to just discard that or get rid of that if you don't have a place or an easy way to carry it around on those warmer days. So that's a number of ways in which that would be a very helpful, unique donation.
Did they use the flashlights last night?
They did. Yes. Penny brought in some flashlights, among other things, to support everybody. And yes, flashlights were very popular, especially to find the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Let me know if you need more, okay?
Right, excellent. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and see if there is some public comment on this item. Ms. Johnson?
Hi, thank you so much. This whole effort has been amazing, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been involved and that has shown up in any way, shape, or form to make this happen in those 11 days. And it is indeed, it has handled a lot of the barriers to accessing shelter. There are two that I have identified that are not being addressed. And one is, was kind of a known one, or is, we just got finished talking about it, in storage. So a lot of the individuals that won't leave their tents, it's because they have to leave their belongings. And they already have to coordinate like a tent sitter in order to leave their area, in order to ensure that their belongings are secure with the tent situation. So the idea of leaving that for an extended period of time to seek shelter is a barrier. So that is still a standing barrier for folks. So we will definitely see some individuals still on the streets. Another one I identified last night after speaking with a gentleman, I was floored. I would have never thought of it. And it's one of the reasons why I want to bring it to the table today. And it's a little sad, and it can be worked around, I think, but he feels like going into shelter is going to pacify him in his, or I shouldn't, maybe pacify isn't the right way, but basically allow him to rest on his laurels in his seek, or in his path out of houselessness. He has children that he's trying to get back to, and he feels like if he gives himself any comfort, that journey will be longer. So that is something that we're looking at here as well. In addition to that, I would just like to make a quick, I know I'm almost out of time. I just wanted to get that voice out there. But 150,000 people in Monroe County, 5% have, according to a national survey, can be expected to have received eviction notice. That will be going into effect the end of this month. The most important reason to do it is because there is a good chance, I mean, that's, 7,000 people in Monroe County, roughly. There's a good chance that not all of those evictions are going to be avoided, and we're going to see an awful lot of people in tents in the coming months. And you guys signed a letter asking the county to allow those, and I hope you do too. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Goodlad.
Hello. I will, continue off where Nicole Johnson left off. Before I do, I want to thank all the parties that made this ordinance possible and show my personal support for it. So, of course, you three commissioners and the the township trustees, including Dan Combs and more than just that. And then, of course, last but not least, Reverend Forrest Gilmore for talking to the city and the county and keeping a straight face while doing it. I can't. And I'm sure you guys know because you get my emails. They're pretty nasty. And so now I'm going to continue where Nicole Johnson left off. And also I want to thank you three for signing the letter, but I think it's important to practice what you preach as county commissioners with, with powers within your jurisdiction to also, there's encampments at the county as well at the Shear. And this is something and this is something that I know you've talked to others about with, where the buck stops with the eviction. I cussed you out in an email and some comments before because I read the B Square Beacon report that where the sheriff kind of pointed the finger at you guys for calling them up. And I'm not saying you did it necessarily because it's been disputed as to whether you did it, but I think that the responsibility still lies with you. Because you do have the power to give the people in the camp down the Sheer permits and, stop Brad Swain from enforcing. And I know that, Brad Swain is not the most honest person. If in fact he did lie, which seems pretty likely he did, because you seem to be signing, doing the right thing here. So I'll take it on good faith that I'll take it that you're acting on good faith. I can assume that with the action to back it up, which seems like you're going to do. And thanks again for that. But we do need to see you do your part with protecting the encampments at the county level as well. And I'll conclude it at that. I yield my time.
Thank you. Looks like we have another person to give public comment. Ms. Keeley.
Hi, I'm Cassidy Keeley, and similar things as other commenters have talked about. Really glad that this was able to happen. I think it's amazing. There's so much community support for it. And just again, to make it that plea that for those people who, for whatever reason it is, either are unable to or choose not to take shelter at these options, that they are respected and allowed to stay where they are. So I hope that we can, move forward with that and those agreements that people have made to not remove them when that's the decision that they've made. So I think it's amazing that you guys are putting so much money into this and that people have worked so hard to make it happen. So thank you all for doing that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Keeley. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any other public comment on this item. Just for transparency and clarity's sake, we're really specific and in our request with Sheriff Swain to leave the campers where they were on county property. However, that was, and the reason that we signed this letter is because at the time we didn't have enough shelter space. And so things will change at some point because we want to ensure that there is shelter space. We're not going to say, well, we're going to remove campers and guess what, there's no shelter space. But it looks like now there's shelter space. And the sheriff has been very receptive to understanding the locations where folks can be taken for safety. And we have real concerns about the property in question because there are small little quarry pits all over the place and no lighting. It's not a safe place beyond the other safety issues that exist. We are not interested in hosting a year-round campsite when first it is against our health order and our health code. Our consistent health code in Monroe County does not allow this. It's not safe, and especially in the winter. But that's why we're working so hard with our great resources in the community to ensure that there is a place to go. And when there is a place to go, then we will be working toward ensuring that folks get transported, get assisted, get helped in any way they can to get to that safe space. And that's our goal in the county. I don't know if Commissioner Jones or Commissioner Githens want to add anything to what I've just said.
I think you pretty much said it all. I think people need to realize that people in our position often find ourselves kind of between a rock and a hard place. And our intentions are absolutely the best. We really care about the people in this community. But there are times when we can't follow through in the way that we might be inclined to. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Githens, did you want to add anything?
No, our primary concern is people's safety.
Yeah, health, well-being, and safety of all Monroe County residents. Absolutely. Anything else to add, Reverend Gilmore, for us? No? Okay.
I do want to thank you. I do want to thank you for your consideration around the funding and really appreciate it. And I will say one thing just is we do have a lot of storage, so it's a big warehouse, so we can make that accessible to people. So I hope we can eliminate that barrier for folks. And I would just echo some of the thoughts about forceful removal of folks from camps right now, and encourage us to, at least through COVID, to kind of try to avoid the forceful removal of people in camps and try to use persuasive methods to help them into safer locations, and try to avoid arrest as the means to move folks to safer locations. So that's our charge to the city, and we certainly would encourage the county to kind of take that approach as well. That's our biggest concern. Not that outside is safe, but that the forceful removal of people is very detrimental to them.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate all the hard work that everyone's done to get us here. And we know that this is a Band-Aid, and the Band-Aid is, but there are folks working on those medium and long-term solutions, and those are going to be very important for our community into the future. So I appreciate everybody's input and work on this really, really important community issue. And with that, we've taken public comments. Yes.
I'm sorry, I have one final question for Reverend Gilmore. Are you allowing pets in this shelter? That's just among many tragedies that people who are homeless suffer, and losing a pet can be terribly painful.
Yeah, we had 3 dogs last night. We had 29 people and 3 dogs join us last night. So, and that's definitely a barrier for people that we tried to overcome. And I hopefully we have overcome that for most folks, if not all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. 3 dog night. All right, I had to say it. Okay, so sorry, couldn't resist. Good question. All right, so with that, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on resolution 2021-07?
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Githens?
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great. Thank you again, Reverend Gilmore, and thanks to everyone involved for all your hard work, and we appreciate the community's input and assistance as well. All right, so with that, we have item F.
Yes, move to approve contract with Capital Assets LLC and the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. Fund name, County General, fund number 1,000 in the amount of 42,000 pending council appropriation.
Great, I will second that. Let's see, and let's see.
Margie's going to speak too.
Margie's here, good. Okay, I was
Yes.
trying to see who was here.
Yes.
I lost my screen because I opened up the other one and
I was over there and yeah. I'm going
Rise, welcome to our long meeting.
Good morning.
We have a new president.
Yes, we do. Congratulations.
While we were meeting.
That's right. Go democracy. So here we are today to talk about a contract that I'm asking you to approve. It's for lobbying services. As you know, the Indiana General Assembly is already in session. There are many bills that may impact local government. And we think it's important to watch the legislation to make sure that we protect home rule and that we keep an eye on legislation that may impact tax revenues. So there is a services contract for $42,000. It's an annual contract. It will be billed monthly. There's a 60-day out clause. This is, as all contracts are, subject to funding by the county council. And so that is not explicitly stated in the contract, but it's a given that if there's no funding available, we can't pay it. And the vendor, Capital Assets, is well aware, and that's why there's this 60-day out clause. Also, just to let you know, this individual company, it's individually owned. It's not part of a large firm. They do represent the largest Republican and the largest Democrat county in Indiana. So it's a bipartisan sort of firm, and the goal is not, it's not a political effort. This is really just keeping an eye on legislation to ensure that we protect Monroe County government. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Rice. Comments or questions, Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I spoke to both past and present members of our state delegation, and in general, the belief is that it's a very good idea to have a lobbyist, especially at a time like this.
Absolutely. Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, we've been hearing things like there may be legislation coming down that would impact, say, our health department that has done just a yeoman's job throughout all of this pandemic. And we're happy with the way things are with what's been going on, and we'd hate to see their hands tied in any way. So there are things that impact all of us on a daily basis that folks may not be aware of, and that's why we need help to stay on top of those things.
Right. And it's really, it's something where every year I get on, in January and start reading through all the proposed bills. But if you're on the ground, you know what's getting merged, that doesn't have a chance, everybody knows it. Well, if you're just reading the bill on the website, you don't know. And so you waste all this time, reading through it, making notes, making calls, sending emails. It's a lot of time. And it's really helpful to have somebody who knows what's going on in the General Assembly, who will keep an eye on things. There's proposed legislation to basically say, well, you don't need a plan commission anymore. Everybody can subdivide any way they want. We're in orange here in Monroe County because we have a local mask ordinance and we have an amazing community that supports that. Well, maybe there's going to be something proposed that says, sorry, you can't do that. Being able to meet on Zoom despite the technical difficulties, is the state going to force us to all go back into a room and force the public to come into a room when it's not yet safe? There are a lot of things out there that impact us, from annexation to planning to local government control. Local government control is where it's at. We know what's going on. We are receptive. We hear you every week. We welcome your input at any time via email, phone. But, you know, it's really important for us to not cede power to the state legislature when they meet for just a few months of the year officially, especially on things like health emergency, to say, well, you just have to call in the legislature to a special session. Like, that's easy to do. We have a system in place. Yeah, so you can hear my gripes already, sorry. Anyway, all of this impacts every one of Monroe County residents, and it runs the gamut from motor vehicle highway funding, you know, potholes, paving, planning, highway, health, everything in between. So there were, what, 1,000 bills? Yeah, over. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is, it can be, I mean, there's a reason they're professional lobbyists. It can be a full-time job to watch this. And in addition to you know, what you guys already have on your already full plates, it's important to get a professional who has the time to really be there and be, you know.
Yeah, we don't want to miss anything. We don't want to miss the opportunity to support something that's going to be great, or to let our legislators know across the state that something isn't going to work and why. And this is a way for us to have our voice. So we're really excited about this. And this is a great thing. So let's see if we've never done this before in Monroe County, by the way. Let's see if we have any public comment on this item. Does not look like it. And so with that, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the agreement, the motion to approve an agreement between Capital Assets LLC and the Monroe County Board of Commissioners?
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for hanging out today. We actually don't have any appointments today, but who knows, that may change. If there's any vacancies, I hope to have a little list together for boards and commissions. Just we'll announce those next week. I know we have a couple, so we'll deal with those. And if you have any interest in the community of becoming a member of a board or commission, to provide your expertise, experience, and time to make Monroe County better, please apply. Just go to co.monroe.in.us and links on the main page. As Ms. Gregory talked about earlier, we have in CARES funding for businesses, social service agencies, and other taxing units already approved a total of $481,759.04. If you are with a social service organization or a local business and you need assistance to cover COVID-related expenses not already covered by a grant or loan, we encourage you to apply at co.monroe.in.us to receive some CARES money assistance. This is a grant, not a loan. And we know that the program's open through the end of January. We're hopeful it will be open longer, but just get those applications in as soon as possible. We'll also note, as was discussed by somebody on public comment, yes, there's a potential for the evictions to increase, but that's why the county commissioners, the county council have worked together with our wonderful township trustees. Every county resident lives in a township. Township trustees are your line of defense if you are facing an eviction, or if you have other necessities that you need assistance covering. That is the role of the township trustee. They are great at it. They know all the resources out there. So if you're trouble paying utilities, rent, whatever it might be, please contact your trustee as soon as possible. County government has provided CARES funding for the township trustees. They have already utilized almost $100,000 in that assistance, and that means those folks won't be evicted. And so with that great program in mind, there's another 100,000 ready to go as soon as the township trustees need it. Let's all work together. If you know anybody that's struggling, be sure to have them contact their township trustee for assistance. I do want to make a quick note and thank Commissioner Githens for working on the campaign, the media side of the campaign, and Ms. Purdy and our great staff in maintenance for making the COVID Remembrance Night really something special last night. So at 5:30, we had our bells ringing to remember those who were lost to COVID in the past year. And ironically, that was also the same day where our nation's death toll exceeded 400,000. If you told me, 2 years ago or even a year ago that we would lose 400,000 people in the U.S. to this, I'd be like, no way. What are we going to do about it? So let's do something about it. Everybody keep wearing your mask, keep physically distancing. Just because some folks have the vaccine, even if you have the vaccine, just keep doing what you're doing. We're doing really well in this county, not as well as we'd like, but we're doing really well in this community, especially compared to those around us. And it's because all of you are so thoughtful and we appreciate it. So thanks to our county employees who continue to serve residents every day and make the best of a really crummy circumstance in terms of getting to work and being at work and being safe. And we appreciate every single county employee so much for their patience and their thoughtfulness through this whole process. Do my colleagues have anything else to add?
No, I think you covered it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Go make another pot of tea. Get on with my right. All right.
I just want to acknowledge the individual or individuals who anonymously paid for delinquent water bills up in Washington Township.
Yeah.
This is our community pulling together. These are examples of how things get done here. So
absolutely. Yep. Amazing. We are an amazing community. Thank you to everyone. All right. And with that, we are adjourned and we will be back on January 27th, 2021 for our next County Commissioners meeting. Thanks, everyone. Be well.